Welcome back to the It's Too Easy podcast. I'm Zach. This is Jake. Sorry for the delay. We've been busy the last few weeks. It's been a chaotic couple weeks. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Niners are now in the Super Bowl. So we're going to get started by talking about that and then just dive a little bit into the coaching situation, get in a little NBA, UFC. Jake, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so super back and forth. Kind of been saying this the whole playoffs. It's kind of tough to not or to count the Chiefs out, I should say. But for me, I feel like the Niners will take this by a field goal. It's either going to be a super close game and they're going to take it by a field goal, or they're going to stomp them, and it's going to be a blowout. And then Travis will right into the sunset with Taylor, regardless. Um, but I feel like this is going to be a super exciting game. If it's super close, I expect it to be a shootout between Mahomes and Purdy in that offense. But personally, I think it's going to be like a 2017 game, something close like that, maybe 24-21. Um, but I'm hoping for a Niner win just because I'm tired of this Chiefs domination. As much as I don't like the Niners, I can't root on the Chiefs this year. Personally, I know everybody is on Travis Kelce to score the first touchdown, and McCaffrey to eventually score a touchdown, and Pacheco to eventually score a touchdown. I'm not going to touch any of those. I do like Kelsey over receiving yards. I'm not sure how inflated that is right now, but when I first looked at it, it was pretty low. I don't know what that number's at right now, but you might take a look before the game. But yeah, I think personally, I'm just going to take the Niners money line. Um, yeah, I just think the Chiefs' luck runs out here. I feel like they do have a really solid defense, but on the other side of the ball, the Niners do as well. And this is finally a game where they're going to meet their match.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I obviously had the Niners there. I didn't have the Chiefs there, so I'm definitely leaning Niners. I think they have the better team. I
Mm-hmm.
do think the better coach, Andy Reid, better QB, obviously Mahomes, better tight end, Kelsey, even though Kittle's a stud. But the Chiefs' defense has been very good. They're the second best scoring defense, which first was the Ravens, and they just knocked them out. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be a good game. Like you said, I think it'll probably be around that 3 point mark. I keep hearing like the 27-14 thing, and all the numbers add up to a Taylor Swift number for an album or something like that. And so they're saying it's going to be 27-14 Chiefs. So I might sprinkle something on that exact score. Otherwise, I'm going to take the probably Niners money line. I don't know if I'm actually going to touch it. I think the best play for either side, I'm going to take Brock Purdy to throw a pick. I'm also going to take Patrick Mahomes to throw a pick. I'm going to rely on both those defenses to do what they've been doing all year, and that's creating takeaways, putting their team in a good position to win. I'm thinking around that 24-21 kind of score as well. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring, but I mean, they could balloon quick with knowing how many weapons are going to be on the field. So it definitely should be a fun game.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, excited for it.
Yeah, I think if anything, I might take a look at sprinkling a little something on Butker over 1.5 field goals. I know the Niners kicker has been prone to missing field goals, but Butker,
Mhm.
seen him hit from 65 in practice, seen him hit from 60 plus in a game. So if that dude is out on the field, he's going to make his kicks. So I might sprinkle a little something on that.
Yeah, I might also sprinkle a little bit on Kittle first touchdown. I'm
Okay.
just thinking of him saying, 3 or 4 years ago, "We'll be back. We'll be back." Sitting on the sideline, he's like, "We're going to be back here." Here they go. They got the rematch that they needed. Obviously, Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Jimmy G was, and they had that game until Jimmy threw the picks. So we'll see how it goes this time around. But I think Kittle's gonna have a performance.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. It should be a good Super Bowl. Hopefully, it won't be too much of a blowout. I'd really like to see a good game. At least make something
Mhm.
enjoyable to watch for the fans. But yeah, that's pretty much for NFL, or at least for the Super Bowl. We do have a little bit of mix up in the coaching scenarios for the teams. Dan Quinn left and he joined the Commanders, which kind of sucks for the Cowboys. But we did pick up, I think it was the defensive coordinator from the Vikings.
Mike
I don't know
Zimmer.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who it was, Mike Zimmer. Um, Regardless, I know the Vikings were terrible on defense a couple years ago, and they've been kind of slowly building it back. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with this Cowboys team. We obviously need depth at linebackers and in the secondary. So we're going to have a lot of rebuilding to do with a new defensive coordinator. But then on top of that, got a ton of new head coaches. Seattle's got a new head coach. I don't know. I can't remember exactly who got hired there. Um, Chargers got Jim Harbaugh. You got Atlanta, who foregoed hiring Bill Belichick and hired the offensive coordinator from,
Morris, yeah.
yeah, whoever it was. So just a lot going on with the coaching carousel right now. So what are you kind of thinking of that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Mike Vrabel was not hired. I think he's the best coach on the market. So
Yeah.
that kind of shocked me. Obviously, I hate that we lost Dan Quinn, although he fell apart in the playoffs 2 years in a row with his coaching scheme and just went away from what we did all year. So I'm
Yeah.
glad he went to the Commanders because he's not a good head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator, and the Commanders are in the division, and so that makes it easier for us to not worry about them for a little longer. Still don't have to worry about the Giants because they decided to pay Daniel Jones. So it should just be between us and the Eagles for a little while. Um, yeah, the Morris trade, or sorry, not trade, but coaching position for the Falcons is going to be interesting. He went over there.
Hmm.
Obviously, he loves the weapons. He came out saying Drake London and Bijan obviously stand out. Can't sleep on Algier. He had a great year again this year. He had a great rookie season. Him with Bijan is going to be interesting. Obviously, I'm sure he'll incorporate Bijan into the lineup a bit more. Um, Interested to see what happens with Fields because I know Kingsbury was supposed to sign there, and they talked about Caleb Williams, therefore going to the Bears. Then he ended up not doing that. So I do think the Bears are going to end up sticking with Fields, trading back, probably with the Commanders picking up Marvin Harrison at 2, and then the Commanders I think will probably end up getting Caleb Williams. If they do that, I would love to see Kirk Cousins go there and let
Hmm.
Kirk work with Caleb for a couple years in the same way that Patrick Mahomes was able to follow in Alex Smith's footsteps. I think that'd be a great veteran addition to allow him to grow and to learn to be able to be as great as he has the potential for. Um, yeah, the Seahawks is going to be interesting.
Who did
Seeing
they
Pete,
hire? It was like an offensive coordinator from somewhere, right?
I'm thinking it was the Titans, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
But yeah,
Yeah,
regardless, I
whatever
know
it
the
was.
Panthers got a new coach too. Um,
Mhm.
I did the
Yeah,
Giants fire Dayball? I don't think so.
no, Dayball's still there, but
Okay.
no one hired Belichick, so that's very
Yeah,
interesting to say
or
the
Pete
least.
Carroll or Vrabel.
Yeah, but yeah, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers is going to be interesting. Obviously, they're going to kind of be rebuilding because they can't keep Khalil Mack and Bosa. One's going to have to go for salary purposes, and
Yeah.
then for the same reason on offense, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, one's going to have to go, and then they're not going to have any salary cap to use. So it'll be a process to build up from there. But I'm sure if anyone can do it, it's going to be Jim. He's had a great career in the NFL in college, and his brother as well. So I expect that to be a turnaround. I am interested to see how he works with Herbert because usually he always works with dual threat quarterbacks, and Herbert isn't really a dual threat. He's just kind of a pocket passer.
Yeah.
Um, so that'll be interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of coaching changes, so it's going to be interesting. I know the
Patriots.
defensive coordinator for the Ravens went. Yeah, Mayo, Gerard Mayo
Yep.
was the one that stepped up for the Patriots. Obviously, a linebacker for them a while ago. Interested to see how he does because I
Yeah,
think
he's
he was the
apparently a great coach.
linebacker. I think he was the linebackers coach there before, and they've had some good linebackers over the last few seasons. So he's probably good at developing them. Yeah, Mike Zimmer was signed with the Cowboys. I don't love that. I don't even think he's been coaching for the last 3 years. Um, but yeah, it'll be
Hopefully,
interesting to
just
see what
bring something
happens.
fresh to our defense, and we can draft some decent linebackers.
Yeah, I'm hoping we
Fresh
go get.
eyes.
I'm hoping we go get somebody. I don't know, like a
Bobby
Bobby
Wagner or
Wagner would
something.
be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, or even Levante David, or I mean, someone like that. Yeah, I
Just
mean the
some veteran
Vikings.
leadership. Yeah.
The Vikings have Harrison Smith, and then what's the linebacker's name up front? I'm blanking on it all of a sudden. Outside
Kendrick.
linebacker there.
Kendrick. Um,
I don't
Kendricks,
remember.
right? Or the kid
No,
from UCLA, right?
Not Eric Kendricks, but what's the guy's name? I don't know. Can't think of it.
Can't
Um,
remember.
yeah.
But
But yeah, we'll see what happens with it. It'll be interesting off season.
yeah.
They got to pay Dak, got to pay Gilly, got to pay CD, got to pay Micah. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting off season for sure. and then
Yeah,
the
a
Eagles
lot
are
of teams
falling
are going
apart
to
at
have.
the seams.
Yeah,
And then Kelsey retires, and AJ Brown takes all the Eagles stuff away from his account and hasn't talked to anyone. And who knows what happened with Hurts in the last 10 games? He just kind of disappeared.
yeah,
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure. Excited for it, but well, I'm sure we'll be focusing a little bit more on basketball coming up. But as we hear moves, we'll be talking about them, I'm sure, on the show.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, shifting a little bit more towards the NBA. Today, I think was the trade deadline. Um, Few key notes that I wrote down are one, the Lakers didn't make any significant moves. I think they are expected to sign Spencer Dinwiddie out of free agency after being traded, which I think would be a solid move for them, kind of get them back on the right track. But they didn't make any significant moves that would really make them stand out, especially after winning the in midseason tournament. Um, Kind of expected them to really go for somebody that would really kind of kickstart them, get them back into momentum mode going into playoffs. Um, uh, Deontay Murray or
DeJounte.
what's his Dejounte? Sorry, I couldn't remember his full name. Dejounte Murray stayed with the Hawks. Didn't end up getting traded. I think I knew that Lakers were a top spot for him to go, but I heard that the Hawks were asking too much, like 3 or 4 first round picks, which is just a lot for a Dejounte Murray. Xavier Tillman got traded to the Celtics from the Grizzlies, which I feel like adds a little bit of depth at the power forward position for the Celtics. I feel like one of the biggest moves in the offseason was Porzingis to the Celtics. He's been solid for them down there. Like nobody has been able to score in the paint against the Celtics, and that's just catapulted them to the top of the league. They play some of the best defense in the NBA, so I expect them to continue to rise. The Knicks just added Bogdan Bogdanovic and
Bohan.
Alec
They got
Burke or
Bohan.
Bohan, yeah, Bohan Bogdanovic
Mhm.
and Alec Burks from the Pistons. Those two are pretty much were the two best players on the Pistons, other than Jaden Ivey. So I'm interested to see kind of how they fit in with the Knicks, especially with Julius Randle and uh, Brunson, because I just don't know how they're going to fit in at being scorers. The Mavs added David Gafford and PJ Washington for Grant Williams and Seth Curry. I think those are pretty good pickups for the Mavs. PJ Washington's pretty young still, adds a little bit of flair, and he can kind of fly with Derek Lively. And then I feel like Gafford adds a little bit more of just kind of like that stability down low. He's a board man. He can get rebounds all day. So I feel like that's kind of what the Mavs need to kind of take some of that pressure off of Luka and Kyrie, getting them back healthy. The Thunder just acquired Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets. I think they paid him like $18 million too, so it's a pretty big pickup for the Thunder. They spent a little bit to get him. I think they're trying to make big moves and make a big playoff push, try and get themselves towards an NBA championship because, man, that team has been solid in the first half of the season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Thunder kind of move forward here. The Suns acquired David Roddy and Royce O'Neal. Pretty solid pickups for the Suns. Gives them some more rebounding for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Um, I also think kind of this under the radar with the Suns was Grayson Allen. Like he's been having a pretty solid year with Booker
Mhm.
and Durant. So I just wanted to kind of point out. I feel like Grayson Allen's been having the best year of his career. So I feel like those two pickups to get some boards for those three like could be pretty solid for them. The Bucks picked up Pat Bev. He's been kind of flying around the league from the Sixers and Timberwolves to wherever. But that had some defensive presence for the Bucks, which is pretty helpful going into the postseason because that's kind of been their one spot that they've really been lacking. The Nets, or yeah, I think the Nets acquired Dennis Schroeder from the Raptors. That's a pretty big pickup. I feel like the Nets, like a lot of where they were missing out was at the point guard position. Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't really providing that for them. So I feel like with Schroeder, he's going to give them a lot more stability at that position and allow Bridges to kind of open up more into that scorer role for that team, even though he is already there. But I feel like right now Bridges is just touching the ball a little bit too much for them. So having Schroeder bringing the ball up will just give a little bit of a fresh look for them. And then the Raptors got Oji Abaji and Kelly Olynyk from the Jazz. Pretty good pickups for them. I feel like the Raptors are trying to really rebuild right now. So kind of interested to see how things pick up for them because they just got those picks from the, or not picks, but the players from the Knicks in that big trade. So that's a really young team. They're really forming around those young guys. So looking forward to seeing how the Raptors start to build over the next couple of years. But yeah, those were the main picks that I wrote down that I feel like definitely want to keep your eye on.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that move for the Knicks getting Bohan, and I like Burks as a vet scorer that just sometimes pops off the bench, going 7 for 9 from three with a quick
Mm-hmm.
30 piece. So I think that's huge, especially with Randall having been out for a little while. That taking a little pressure off of Brunson. First and foremost, I want to shout out Dante DiVincenzo's stepped up. I think in the last 7 games, his lowest scoring I think was 21 or 23. I know as we're getting ready to start, I think he had 23 entering the third or fourth tonight. So he's playing phenomenal. I think Bohan and Alec bring a lot of scoring off the bench after getting rid of quickly to that Raptors trade.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, OG Anunoby has been phenomenal for the Knicks. I think they're 13-2 since that trade deadline, which is number one in the NBA during that stretch. They
He's down for
really,
surgery now.
yeah, he's out for 2 or 3 weeks, but he'll be back in no time. Julius will be back. They don't even have Mitchell Robinson, and Harkenstein's been playing well. That team looks really good.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
kind of
impressed
hoping
by the man.
actually. Yeah, I'm impressed by them. I do think that they're going to make a run at that Eastern Conference Finals. We'll kind of see how the matchups play out. The Celtics, I think, will probably still be getting there. Embiid, obviously, missing some time is going to make a difference in seeding, so we'll see how that goes. I'm still not worried about the Bucks. I said it before when they got rid of Drew, they made a mistake, and now they went and got Pat Bev because they have no defense. It's like, what do you
Yeah,
expect? What do you expect when you got Dame? Um, yeah, so it's been interesting for sure. Lakers not making any moves is like why
kind
I
of
don't know.
strange. Yeah,
Yeah, they've sucked since winning that in season tournament. So I know they talked about moving D'Lo, and then they said no. I just don't think there's that much value around him, although he's been playing well as of the last week or so. Yeah, the Nuggets look great.
yeah,
The
they do.
Timberwolves still look great. The Thunder look great. I do like going out and getting a vet in Gordon Hayward, Trey Mann, and Visit. What is it? Mičić that we had signed from the European League. We got rid of. Mičić wasn't playing much. Trey Mann's been a bucket getter, but he doesn't have much of an opportunity because the Thunder have 15 of those.
Yeah, and
Um,
they're all young.
so and they're all young, and we still have eight first picks in the next 2 years that they got to do something with. They're building something great considering they're tied for the 1 seed right now with those three other teams. The Nuggets are scary because they've had people rotating in and out, whether it's Gordon out for a few games, Jamal out for a few games, Porter for a few games, and then Christian Brown's been looking good for them. They've had some good scoring. Peyton Watson stepped up a few times. So obviously can't count out the defending champs. The Thunder are going to
Yeah,
be good, but they don't have that experience. I don't think Gordon Hayward's really going to help that much with it. I don't know how often he's going to get in off the bench. Um, Isaiah Joe's been out for a week or two, so I think he's going to come back and provide more scoring for them. And how about the Clippers? I mean,
yeah.
25-5, I think, in the last 30 games.
I know in
Number
their
one in
last
the
15,
NBA.
they're. I know in their last 15, they're 14-1. So
Yeah, until they lost last night to the Pelicans, that's what they were.
yeah,
Yeah, they look phenomenal. Obviously, they lost those first 5 or 6 with Harden. Everyone kind of freaked out about it, and now they're tied atop the West. So don't sleep on them. I'm rooting for them to win it all. Obviously, I want to see my boy
yeah.
Russ finally get one. I love Kawhi, love PG and Russ as a combo. Can't hate Harden. I mean, he was drafted with Russ and the Kitty, so I love those squads.
It's
Um,
basically
I,
that old Thunder team minus KD plus Kawhi, and I love it, man. I
yeah,
love the old
even
like
Paul
the
George.
throwback.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's cool for those old balls.
yeah, it's fun because they're all California kids to begin with, so having them all there,
Yep.
hanging out at home, having fun. I mean, we're seeing videos of Kawhi smiling and laughing in practice, so that's always a good thing to see. They're playing
Hmm.
every game, and that's a huge shout out to Russell Westbrook because he doesn't get enough credit that when he's there, his teammates play. They play hard, and he keeps them accountable because he's there playing full speed, 100%, giving it his all every single game. And I that wouldn't be there without Russ.
Yeah, he is that
So
leadership that kind of binds that team for sure.
he brings that in. Paul George and Kawhi aren't sitting out. So also having Plumlee come back has been nice for them,
Yep.
while Zubox has been out, and then Daniel Tice has stepped up off the bench. Big Norman Powell guy.
Yeah.
He's been a bucket as always off the bench. So that's a fun
Who's the
team
guy
to
they just picked
watch.
up from the Nuggets too? The young guy.
I didn't see them
Uh,
pick up anybody.
Last year they picked up the young guy from the
Bones
Nuggets.
Highlands?
Yeah, Bones.
Yeah, Bones. So
How's he been playing?
he doesn't get that many minutes, I don't think. It
Well,
was
yeah, probably
interesting.
not.
They also got PJ Tucker in that Harden trade, which
Hmm.
I figured he'd play a lot, knowing that him and Harden play everywhere together. Starting with Houston, and he hasn't been playing, and they ended up not trading him just because financial reasons. His contract, I think they couldn't get rid of.
Yeah, I think they were
So
looking to waive him potentially.
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. The Pistons waived Killian Hayes as well, and he was a lottery pick a few years
Yeah,
back. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see where he signs because I mean he had 9 assists a few nights ago, and that was in the first 3 quarters, and then he didn't really play the fourth. So he's not bad. He's not I mean phenomenal, but he's a good talent to be able to pick up. Spencer Dinwiddie's out there, like you said. I think the Lakers are going to go get him,
yeah.
which is going to add some length and defense for them. I think that D'Lo doesn't provide, which might be good.
Hmm.
I'm kind of surprised, like I mentioned before. I thought Malcolm Brogdon should have been on the move because he's a great 3 and D player, but also he can dish the ball. He does a little everything. Um,
Yeah, for sure. He's
I know
definitely
he's
a good role
enjoying
player.
Portland.
Yeah.
He's enjoying Portland, and he came out talking about it a little while ago. But I mean, he's going to waste away just going for 10, 15 wins on the year.
Yeah, he's
Um,
wasting away years of his career too because he's starting to get up there in age too.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Warriors are starting to turn things around. Since Kuminga called out Steve Kerr for not playing him, he's averaging 22 in the last like 20 games.
Yeah.
Um, he's playing really well. Because of that, Andrew Wiggins is starting to get more comfortable. Draymond Green's back, and he's obviously the leader of the team. Um, they just won another big road game today against the Pacers. Steph was like 11 for 15 from three or something. Clay
Dude's a
didn't even
menace.
play. Clay didn't even
Yeah.
play. He's just holding up his four fingers somewhere. Uh, yeah, the Suns have been looking good. Yeah, like you said, Grayson Allen's looked phenomenal. He had 14 assists tonight through 3 quarters. I don't know what he ended at.
Shoot. Dang.
Yeah, Book was out and Grayson Allen was dishing it. Beal's getting going. KD's obviously KD.
Oh, I
Eric
always
Gordon's a
forget
stud.
about Bradley Beal, but it's like, holy shit, I haven't even noticed that he's been playing with that team.
Yeah, and then Nurkic has been balling. He's putting up, I think, 11 and 10 a game for them, and he can hit from deep, so it definitely allows them to space the floor. Eric Gordon off the bench has been a quick 10, 12 points, so
Yeah.
you can't count them out come playoff time. It's a deep team with a bunch of talent, but I don't. They don't have enough defense. I do like that move. They went and got Royce O'Neal today.
Hmm.
He's a great 3 and D player. Allows that defense to be bolstered for the 20 minutes or whatever he's going to get in and play the going to be playing. So yeah, I mean it's so deep in the West. The Jazz are making moves, and they're right there at that 8, 9
Yeah.
spot with the Lakers ahead of the Warriors, ahead of the Rockets. I mentioned them before the year. I love that team. They're young, they're fun, and they got a lot of assets coming, having traded away Donovan Mitchell and Gobert.
Yeah.
Uh,
A lot
they
of picks.
kept Laurie when everyone wanted him. So I mean, I think that tells you something that they're excited for what they're building. I'm excited for what they're building.
Really cool
Yeah,
owner too for the Jazz. He's like a 35-year-old guy or like 40-year-old guy. Super cool into sports. I think started in some sort of sport like snowboarding or skiing or something. Anyways, if you get a chance, look up something on the Jazz owner. He's a young guy, super cool.
yeah. I was gonna say also, I think part owner is Dwayne Wade, right?
I think
I,
so. Yeah, I think he is
I
part
was like, I
owner.
thought
Yeah.
that's where you were going at first. I was like, Dwayne Wade's snowboarder.
Well, I can't remember. I'll look up the guy's full name right now, but I just remember he was like I watched an interview with him. He's such a cool guy. Utah Jazz owner.
Yeah,
Um,
they're a fun team to keep an eye
is
on for
Ryan
sure.
Smith is his
Ryan
name.
Smith, no, yeah.
He's a businessman. He started Qualtrics, so he's a tech
Gotcha.
guy. But anyways, he's super cool. If you get a chance to watch an interview with him, because it's kind of refreshing to see a young owner in the league that's not part of like a family trust or something, like every other team.
Yeah,
So,
I was interested to see the Kings. They're
hmm,
sticking around that middle of the pack as well as the
yeah,
Mavs. Yeah, I mean, I think they're both like the
they
6,
haven't.
7, or 8
Yeah, they
seed,
had
some
they
like
had that.
29, 21.
Yeah, yeah. They had that 4 game loss streak, and then they followed it up with a 4 game win streak, and then they now lost two in a row to the Cavs, and then last night to the Pistons, which they got booed
Yeah.
out of our arena, which
Hmm.
is pretty sad. But honestly, like the Pistons had 6 wins. There was no reason that Jaden Ivey needed to drop 37 on us in our own
Yeah.
house. But regardless, like I do think that the Kings on their good nights are a really good team and the team that can contend with anybody. But when they don't show up and play defense, you can roll the Kings. So I worry for them in the playoffs. There might be a chance for them to win a series, but there's no chance they're making it all the way. I just don't see it this year. They need another piece or two. They need to figure out what exactly they're going to do with Herter and Barnes, because even though Barnes has been stepping up, it just doesn't feel like the full team chemistry is there to be at the level of like the Clippers and some of these best teams that are just going to be ready come playoff time. So I worry for the Kings defensively,
Mhm.
but for now at least they're 29-21. A few games ago they were 10 games over 500, so pretty good team, but just need to keep the momentum rolling and try and stack these wins up before playoffs.
Yeah, I can't see them beating anyone in that first round. I mean, just knowing that there's a four-way tie atop the Clippers,
Yeah.
Thunder, Timberwolves, and Nuggets, I'm like, I don't see them beating any of them.
Mm-mm.
And if they do fall back into that 7 to 10 range, which I believe they're at right now, could they lose to the Mavs? Yes. Could they lose to the Lakers? Yes. Could they lose to the Jazz? They usually play good games with the Jazz, but should beat
Yeah,
them. Um,
it really depends on kind of
if
what
it's the
ball they're playing.
Warriors, I mean, we know what happened last year. Granted, it was 7 games, but yeah, I don't think the Kings are going to do much. We talked about it preseason. They should have made some moves at the trade deadline. Should have made some moves. There was a lot of talk about Levine or Pascal. Then Pascal went to the Pacers,
Yeah.
who have been playing well yet again.
Hmm.
They made some moves. Got rid of Buddy Hield today, so that was interesting. Got
But
Doug
they have still
McDermott.
have some ground to make up for sure. They're a few games back there in the East.
Yeah, and now we're 50 games in, and I
Yeah.
talked about it preseason. Took the Magic to win the division plus 800 or plus 900, depending on what you were using. They are tied with the Heat right now, 50 games in. Magic have the easiest remaining schedule, so definitely feeling good about that.
Fingers crossed, baby.
It's still plus 130 because the Heat's schedule is fairly easy. I think they're 22nd easiest schedule remaining. Um, yeah, I mean they're both 28 and 24. I had them right at that 44 win mark, so I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be a dogfight to the end. That they had a huge win over the Timberwolves last week, and I think that was kind of that turning point where it's like if they win by one game, that's the game that I'm going to look back on and be like, I knew that was the one that
That was
got them
it.
that.
Yeah.
So that was huge on the road going and beating the Timberwolves. I'm still riding them. Franz is back, and they looked good. They looked pretty shaky for a couple games there without him.
Yeah.
Paolo's been balling. I was kind of surprised they didn't make a move. I thought they would have been great to get a vet like Chris Paul or something
Yeah.
to at least get in there.
I think this
You
has been
know,
Markel Fultz's best year though in a while too, for sure. He's had some health and he's been able to play pretty consistently.
yeah, I love Markel Fultz. I think Cole Anthony's like the missing piece for them. When he plays well, they win.
Yeah.
And so with that, I would probably you can't like you'd have to get rid of someone between Suggs, Anthony, and Markel. So I think they probably would have gotten rid of Markel.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm surprised they didn't make any moves. They obviously can't compete with the team they have, but I mean they can maybe win the division.
But they're definitely on the right
Um,
trajectory, having been the
yeah,
Magic for the past 10 years, right? They're young, they
yeah,
are winning, So as long as they keep doing that, add a few new key pieces, and they're going to be a really solid team. So I like the Magic.
yeah. They've definitely been fun to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think that'll do it for NBA. I'm not sure if there's anything else we're really missing. The Bulls
No,
have
I
been
think
looking
that's about
good.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kobe White's been balling for the Bulls, so that's been a bright spot. They yet again didn't move anybody, so they got
No.
Levine,
I
who's
was a
not
little
playing
bit
the rest of the
disappointed in
year.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, Levine's not playing the rest of the year. They're not going to get anything out of him. Cleveland didn't make any moves, which I thought was interesting. Uh, I really
They're a
thought
good
that
team. I like them.
I thought Cleveland, the Knicks, the Thunder, someone was going to trade for LeBron just because he's going to have a player option next year. Lakers could have gotten some value out of him. And all three of those teams are competing and need that veteran leadership and a bigger body. Um,
Yeah.
Granted, I know LeBron doesn't get traded; he finishes his contract, so I'm not really
Yeah.
surprised. But I think it would have been a smart move by them. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell is going to be a free agent coming next year, so uh, it's going
Let's
to be
get him
interesting
to
to see.
Sacramento, man. Whatever we got to do. Him and
It'll be
Fox
interesting to
would
see
be
what
sick.
happens.
Him and Fox would be
Yeah,
sick.
yeah,
So
that'd be pretty cool. Although, yeah, I mean, Herter hasn't done much this year. He's been a lot worse than he was last year. Granted, he's still getting, I think, 11. Barnes has been Barnes per usual, but he's had some stepped up and put up 30, 35 a few times in the last few weeks. Keegan's kind of had, it seems like, a little bit of an off year, but I think his numbers are still about the same as last year, maybe even a little higher,
Yeah, he's
just
like
because the
the
volume's
ninth
there.
best defensive ranked player right now in the NBA, which has been a huge step up for him this year, kind of with
Mhm.
everybody else taking a step down. So huge
Yeah.
props to Keegan because he's had his nights where he just goes off too, and he's starting to kind of show that he can be a star, which is cool. He had that one night where he had like 47 or something. I was like, holy crap! Mike Brown finally took him out of the game before he got 50.
Hmm.
So
And
that
then
was
they threw
fun.
him back in there, and he went cold by then. So I was like, "What are you
Yeah,
doing?"
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, NBA is pretty exciting. The second half of the season should be fun. The All Star break is going to be super fun. I'm really looking forward to the Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry 3-point competition. I think that's going to be super fun. I hope Sabrina wins just for the fun of it. She's a stud. I love my Oregon Ducks, so go Ducks. But yeah, that's going to do it for NBA this week. But do have a few UFC picks. We have a nice UFC card this weekend. I do have 5 picks for you guys today. First one is Joe Pyfer to win. I like him to beat Jack Hermanson. I just think that he's a lot better, younger, more determined right now at this point in his career. So I expect Joe Pyfer to win in this main event. Andre Feely and Dan Ige are fighting. Pretty much that just screams to me that that fight will end before the final bell. So I'm going to be betting that that fight does not go the distance. It's going to be my best bet for that one because both those guys can finish it in the first 2 minutes if someone lands a nice right hook or left hook. Jeremiah Wells, I'm taking to win. He's a little bit of a heavy favorite, like minus 160 or minus 165. I think that's probably right around where it should be priced. I think that he's probably going to deliver a KO in the first or second round. If he doesn't and it goes late, then it's kind of a toss up, but I do like him to get it done in this one. Daniel Marcos is fighting Arichi Lang, and Arichi Lang is on the downside of his career. He's a Chinese guy, super fun to watch, great fighter, but Marcos is a young guy, hasn't lost in a while, has really good submission abilities, really good takedowns, so I expect him to get the victory early. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on him to get a sub, but I'm also just going to be mainly betting on him to win. And then my last pick is Michael Johnson and Flowers, Darius Flowers, I think, over 1.5 rounds. Um, I don't really know the logic behind it. Just usually Michael Johnson fights when they're fun, they go over 1.5 rounds. All the fights that I can think of usually go over 1.5 rounds. Michael Johnson's getting to the later points in his career. Flowers isn't the greatest fighter, so I expect this one to be a little bit of a brawl and should be fun to watch. So those are my 5 picks for the UFC for this week.
nice. Yeah, I like it. I was also going to mention Lamar Jackson MVP cashed tonight, so
Yes,
plus
sir.
1100. Took it to the bank preseason. Gave that one out early. Saw that. I know McCaffrey won Offensive Player of the Year. Well deserved there.
Flacco, come back here.
Comeback Player of the Year was to Flacco. With that, Steichen got Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see D'Amico Ryans win that, although I'm not
Yeah,
going to lie.
true.
Playing 5 quarterbacks, granted, they didn't need to do 5. They could have done 4. Playing 4 quarterbacks, making the playoffs when they shouldn't have without their all-star Nick Chubb all year was very impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
They should be very good next year with Deshaun back, Chubb back,
They're
probably
gonna be
most of that
they're gonna be
defense.
rocking. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, no, it's been a fun year for football. So
Yeah, and we'll kind of keep our eyes on what teams we're looking at going into draft season and kind of the off season. But yeah, for now, hope everybody has a good Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy some good food with family and friends. And until next week, we'll see you guys later. Peace.
yep. See you.